stop scrolling for a second, because if you are holding off on buying a camera waiting for the DJI Pocket 4, you might be making a huge mistake, or maybe you're dodging a bullet. We need to talk about what is actually happening with DJI's next big release, because the rumors have finally started to line up and paint a very clear picture. But I have to be honest with you, that picture is not exactly what most of us were dreaming of. For months, the internet has been buzzing with hype, expecting the Pocket 4 to be this massive, earth-shattering leap forward in technology, but the reality shaping up is something very different and, frankly, a little controversial. We're not looking at a revolution here. We're looking at a very specific strategic move by DJI that is going to divide the fan base. So, let's cut through the noise and get into the real details of what the Pocket 4 actually is, why it is different from the Pocket 3 in ways you didn't expect, and whether you should actually care. The first thing we need to address is the elephant in the room, which is the camera itself. When we think a new product launch, especially from a tech giant like DJI, we immediately think of better specs. We want more pixels, bigger sensors, better low light, just more of everything. But the latest leaks and reliable rumors are pointing to something that might shock you. The standard DJI Pocket 4 is likely going to use the exact same imaging foundation as the Pocket 3. Yes, you heard that right. We're talking about the same resolution and the same core sensor setup. Now, before you click away in anger, take a breath and think about what this means. The Pocket 3 already has a 1-inch sensor that is incredible. It handles low light beautifully and produces crisp 4K video. By reusing this foundation, DJI isn't saying the camera is bad. They're saying the camera is good enough for the average user. But it definitely changes the vibe. This isn't a wow, look at that new sensor kind of upgrade. It feels much more like a refinement cycle, similar to how smartphone cameras sometimes stay the same for a year or two, focusing on software rather than hardware. This decision to keep the sensor the same brings us to the most interesting part of this entire story, which is the split. For a while now, we have heard whispers about a Pro version, and it seems those whispers were true. DJI appears to be splitting the line into two distinct models, the standard Pocket 4 and the Pocket 4 Pro. This is where things get really spicy. The standard model, the one reusing the Pocket 3 sensor, is being positioned as the safe, reliable choice. But the Pocket 4 Pro, that is where the madness is happening. The rumors suggest the Pro model will feature dual cameras. This is a massive shift in design philosophy. We don't know exactly what that second lens does yet. Maybe it is a telephoto lens for better zoom, or maybe an ultra-wide for vloggers who want to capture more of the scene. But the mere existence of a dual camera system tells us that the Pro is where the real innovation is living. So why would DJI do this? Why not just make one amazing camera? It comes down to segmentation. They're creating a clear divide between the casual creator and the professional enthusiast. If you're just vlogging your family vacation or making TikToks, the standard Pocket 4 with the familiar sensor is going to be perfect for you. But if you're a gearhead who wants flexibility, creative tools, and the absolute bleeding edge of technology, DJI is effectively telling you that you need to pay extra for the Pro. It is a classic upsell strategy. They keep the exciting stuff locked behind the Pro label to justify a higher price tag, while keeping the base model affordable and reliable. This explains the delays we've seen. Developing two separate products with two different target audiences takes time, and it explains why the standard Pocket 4 feels a bit safe. Now, let's talk about what safe actually means for the standard Pocket 4, because it is not all bad news. In fact, for many of you, this might be better news than a new sensor. Since they aren't pushing the camera hardware to the limit, they can focus on the things that actually matter in daily use. We are hearing reports that the Pocket 4 will focus heavily on reliability. Think about better battery life. The Pocket 3 is good, but imagine if you could record for an extra hour without worrying about it dying. Think about heat management. One of the biggest complaints with small 4K cameras is that they get hot and shut down. By refining the existing technology instead of cramming in a new, power-hungry sensor, DJI can optimize the processor to run cooler and longer. These are the kinds of upgrades that don't look sexy on a spec sheet. You can't put runs 10% cooler on a billboard and expect people to line up. But when you're actually out there filming, hiking, or traveling, these are the improvements that make you love a device. It is about a smoother day-to-day experience. However, we have to be realistic about the processing side of things too. Just because the sensor is the same doesn't mean the image will look exactly the same. DJI is a master of software magic. They can tweak the processing algorithms, improve the color science, and refine how the camera handles high dynamic range. There's still a lot of room for improvement in things like aperture and focal length, which are details that are still up in the air. They could slightly widen the lens or make the aperture brighter. So, even with the same sensor, the Pocket 4 could produce a better image simply because the brain inside the camera is smarter. But again, don't expect a generational leap. This is an evolution, not a revolution. This brings us to a critical question. Is this strategy smart, or is it lazy? Some people are definitely going to feel underwhelmed. We have been trained by the tech industry to expect massive leaps every single year. When a company releases a product that looks and acts mostly like the previous one, it feels like a letdown. People might look at the standard Pocket 4 and ask, why should I upgrade from my Pocket 3? And the honest answer might be, you shouldn't. If you already own a Pocket 3, the standard Pocket 4 might not offer enough to justify the cost. But if you are coming from a Pocket 1 or 2, or if you don't have a gimbal camera at all, the Pocket 4 represents the most refined, reliable version of this technology ever made. It is the polished diamond, whereas the Pocket 3 was the rough gem. On the flip side, the existence of the Pocket 4 Pro is very exciting, but it also creates a dilemma. The Pro is where the bold ideas are landing. It is the playground for DJI's engineers. But bold ideas often come with a high price and potential bugs. First-generation technology, like a dual-camera gimbal system, can be tricky. Will it be heavier? Will the battery life suffer because of the extra hardware? Will the stabilization be as smooth with a more complex camera module? These are questions we don't have answers to yet. By splitting the line, DJI is letting you choose your risk level. Do you want the safe, perfect workhorse in the standard model? Or do you want to live on the edge with the experimental Pro model? Let's dig deeper into the Pro concept. This dual camera rumor is fascinating because it addresses one of the biggest limitations of the Pocket series, the fixed focal length. With a phone, you can zoom in. With a mirrorless camera, you can change lenses. With the Pocket, you are usually stuck with one wide angle. If you zoom, you lose quality because it is digital crop. If the Pocket 4 Pro adds a telephoto lens, even a 2x or 3x optical zoom, it fundamentally changes how you can use the device. You can get compression in your shots. You can film subject from further away without being intrusive, and you can get those cinematic B-roll shots that are hard to get with a wide lens. That single feature could make the Pro model a must-have for serious YouTubers and travel filmmakers, leaving the standard model for casual vloggers. But this brings us back to the core frustration. Why do we have to choose? In a perfect world, the Pocket 4 would just be one amazing device with all these features. By separating them, DJI is maximizing profit, sure, but they are also complicating the buying decision. You're going to have to ask yourself hard questions about what kind of creator you are. Are you willing to pay a premium for features you might only use occasionally? Or are you okay with having last year's tech in a new body just to save some money and get better battery life? It is a classic marketing move that forces us to upsell ourselves. Let's also talk about the physical design. If the standard Pocket 4 is reusing internals, it is likely the form factor will remain very similar to the Pocket 3. The rotating screen was a massive hit. It was satisfying, functional, and cool. We can expect that to return. But with the focus on reliability, we might see subtle changes in the build quality. Maybe a more rugged exterior, maybe better weather sealing. Imagine if the Pocket 4 was officially waterproof without a case. That would be a game changer that has nothing to do with the sensor. While there are no hard leaks on waterproofing yet, focusing on refinement opens the door for these kinds of durability upgrades. The Pocket series has always been fragile. Making it tougher would fit perfectly with the narrative of it being a reliable daily driver. There is also the competition to consider. The reason DJI can get away with this refinement cycle is simply that they don't have much competition. Who else is making a gimbal camera this good? Nobody. They own the market. When you are the king, you don't have to sprint, you can jog. This lack of pressure allows them to release a Pocket 4 that is just a slight upgrade without fearing that everyone will jump ship to a competitor. It is a position of power. They know that even if the Pocket 4 isn't a massive leap, it is still going to be the best vlog camera in its class because there is no other class. So what does that leave us? The narrative surrounding the DJI Pocket 4 is shifting from hype to pragmatism. We're moving away from expecting a magic wand and accepting a better tool. The standard Pocket 4 is shaping up to be the Toyota Camry of cameras. Reliable, efficient, good performance, but not a Ferrari. The Pocket 4 Pro is the concept car, exciting, flashy, and expensive. This direction actually makes a lot of sense for DJI as a business, even if it feels a bit boring for us as tech enthusiasts. It stabilizes their product line and gives them a clear path forward for future upgrades. If you're sitting there with your credit card ready, my advice is to wait and see the full specs of the Pro model. If that dual camera system is real and effective, it will be the one to buy. But if you just want a camera that works every time you turn it on, lasts all day, and gives you great 4K video, the standard Pocket 4 might actually be the better deal, precisely because it isn't trying to do too much. It is refining what already works. And sometimes, in a world of constant beta testing and buggy launches, a gadget that just works perfectly is the most valuable thing you can buy. Ultimately, the real question isn't what the Pocket 4 is, it is about you. Are you okay with DJI keeping the exciting innovation locked behind a Pro paywall? Does a refined, longer-lasting battery appeal to you more than a new sensor? These are the questions that will define the success of this launch. The Pocket 4 is coming, and it is going to be familiar, dependable, and perhaps a little bit divisive. But one thing is for sure, it's going to sell because even a small upgrade to the best camera in the world is still the best camera in the world. If you found this analysis helpful and want to stay updated on the official release dates and full spec comparisons as soon as they drop, make sure you smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your tech-savvy friends so they don't waste their money on the wrong model, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.